You arrive before the sun comes up. In the distance, massive cooling towers send huge clouds of steam into the morning sky, making the entire facility look almost alive. From the outside, a nuclear power plant can feel intimidating. Thick concrete buildings, endless networks of pipes, heavy security gates, and highly trained personnel create an atmosphere unlike almost any other workplace. Most people will never step beyond those fences. But today you do. This is your first day as a nuclear power plant operator, and from this moment forward, every decision you make could influence the production of electricity that powers hundreds of thousands of homes. Before you ever touch a control panel, you quickly discover that this job is nothing like the movies. There are no glowing green barrels, no dramatic countdowns, and certainly no room for reckless behavior. Everything is based on discipline, procedures, and precision. Every door requires authorization. Every tool has its place. Every movement follows carefully established rules. Even experienced workers continue training throughout their entire careers because in this industry, learning never stops. Your first weeks are spent almost entirely inside classrooms and training facilities. Instead of operating reactors, you study mathematics, thermodynamics, electricity, fluid systems, and radiation protection. You learn how nuclear fission actually works, how heat is transferred into steam, how turbines generate electricity, and why every safety system inside the plant exists. At first, the amount of information feels overwhelming. Every manual seems thicker than the last, and every instructor reminds you of one simple truth. Confidence is earned slowly, never assumed. Soon, you're issued your first radiation dosimeter. It is a small device clipped to your uniform, but it represents one of the most important responsibilities in the entire profession. Contrary to what many people believe, working inside a nuclear power plant does not mean being constantly exposed to dangerous radiation. In reality, operators spend enormous amounts of time preventing exposure before it can ever become a problem. Every controlled area is carefully monitored. Every entrance is checked. Every worker knows exactly where they can go, how long they can stay, and what protective equipment is required. Eventually, the day comes when you enter the protected area for the first time. Passing through multiple security checkpoints feels almost like entering another world. Identification scanners verify your credentials, radiation monitors confirm you're safe to proceed, and heavy reinforced doors slowly open one after another. Everything inside feels spotless. Floors shine under bright lighting. Equipment is organized with incredible precision. There is almost no unnecessary noise. Every person moves with purpose. Then you step inside the turbine hall. The scale is difficult to describe. Giant steam turbines stretch farther than you imagined. Massive generators quietly convert mechanical energy into electricity, while enormous stainless steel pipes carry high-pressure steam throughout the building. Overhead cranes move equipment weighing dozens of tons with remarkable precision. Standing beneath machines this large makes you realize how much engineering is hidden behind something as simple as turning on a light switch at home. At first, your responsibilities remain small. You accompany experienced operators during routine inspections, learning how to recognize the normal sounds of pumps, valves, and turbines. You begin understanding that experienced operators rarely rely on instruments alone. They also notice subtle vibrations, unusual temperatures, and tiny changes in sound that newer employees would never recognize. That experience cannot be learned from a textbook. It only comes from spending thousands of hours inside the plant. One of the biggest surprises is discovering how much of the job involves observation rather than action. Many shifts pass without touching a single wrench. Instead, operators constantly verify readings, inspect equipment, review operating procedures, and confirm that every system remains exactly where it should be. Success in this profession often means that nothing unusual happens at all. Training soon moves into one of the most impressive parts of the facility, the full-scale reactor simulator. From the moment you walk inside, it looks identical to the actual control room. Every switch, every display, and every alarm behaves exactly like the real plant. Here, instructors create situations that operators hope they will never experience in real life. Equipment failures, power losses, cooling system problems, emergency shutdowns. The simulator allows you to make mistakes safely, learn from them, and repeat every procedure until your reactions become automatic. At first, the alarms make your heart race. Flashing lights, warning sounds, and dozens of system indicators appear all at once. Your instinct is to react immediately. But experienced instructors teach you the opposite. The first rule is never to panic. Every abnormal situation has a written procedure. Every action follows a sequence. The safest operator is not the fastest one. It is the one who remains calm while everyone else feels pressure. As your confidence grows, you begin performing your first independent inspections. You check pressure gauges, verify valve positions, monitor cooling systems, and compare instrument readings against expected operating conditions. Each successful shift builds trust. Supervisors notice that you work carefully, ask questions, and never skip procedures. Those habits matter far more than speed. By the end of your first year, something has changed. The enormous buildings no longer feel intimidating. The maze of pipes begins to make sense. The control panels that once looked impossibly complicated now feel familiar. You still have an incredible amount to learn, but you've already crossed the hardest part of the journey. You are no longer simply a new employee walking through the gates of a nuclear power plant. You're becoming a nuclear operator, one of the professionals trusted to keep one of the world's most advanced energy systems running safely every single day. As your experience grows, your responsibilities begin to change. You are no longer simply observing experienced operators. Now, you're expected to understand how every major system inside the plant works together. The reactor, the steam generators, the turbines, the cooling systems, the electrical generators, and countless backup systems all operate as one enormous machine. A small change in one area can affect another hundreds of feet away. Learning to see the plant as a complete system is one of the biggest steps in becoming a skilled operator. Most people imagine nuclear operators spending every day inside the control room pressing buttons, but the reality is much more complex. A large part of the job happens outside, walking through industrial buildings that seem endless. Every shift includes inspections of pumps, valves, electrical systems, and cooling equipment. Experienced operators learn to recognize problems long before alarms appear. Sometimes a slight vibration, an unusual sound, or a small temperature difference is enough to reveal that something needs attention. One of the most valuable skills you develop is patience. Nuclear power plants never reward rushing. Every task begins with planning. Procedures are reviewed. Equipment is verified. Safety checks are repeated. Communication between teams happens constantly. It may seem slow from the outside, but this careful pace is exactly what makes nuclear power one of the safest forms of large-scale electricity generation in the world. Eventually, you begin spending more time inside the main control room. This is the heart of the entire facility. Hundreds of switches, digital displays, and monitoring systems constantly provide information about every part of the plant. At first, the amount of data feels impossible to process. Temperatures, pressures, coolant flow, reactor power, turbine output and electrical generation are all changing continuously. But with experience, patterns begin to appear. Instead of seeing hundreds of numbers, you start seeing the overall health of the plant. Your supervisors slowly allow you to take on more responsibility. Under close supervision, you begin making small operational adjustments. A minor valve position, a change in pump configuration, a controlled adjustment to reactor power during planned operating conditions. Every action is verified by another operator, and every change is documented. Nothing is left to memory. Documentation is just as important as technical skill. Outside the control room, maintenance outages introduce you to an entirely different side of the profession. During these scheduled shutdowns, thousands of inspections and repairs take place in only a few weeks. Specialists from different disciplines arrive from across the country. Electricians, mechanical technicians, engineers, and inspection teams all work together around the clock. The plant becomes a carefully organized construction site where every minute is planned months in advance. Walking inside the containment building during an outage is an unforgettable experience. Massive stainless steel pipes surround the reactor vessel. Overhead cranes move components weighing many tons with incredible precision. Maintenance platforms fill areas that normally remain empty during operation. Every worker follows strict contamination control procedures. Every tool is tracked. Every movement is coordinated. The scale of engineering is almost impossible to appreciate until you see it with your own eyes. One of the most fascinating moments comes during reactor refueling. The reactor vessel is carefully opened, revealing one of the most protected areas in the entire plant. Used fuel assemblies are transferred underwater using specialized cranes designed for extraordinary precision. The water itself serves as both shielding and cooling, creating a deep blue glow that many people have only seen in documentaries. Watching this operation reminds you just how much science, engineering, and planning exist behind every unit of electricity produced. Technology plays a much bigger role than most people expect. Modern nuclear plants rely on advanced diagnostic systems capable of detecting tiny changes in equipment performance. Operators constantly analyze trends rather than waiting for failures to occur. Predictive maintenance allows engineers to solve problems long before they become serious, reducing downtime and improving safety. Instead of reacting to emergencies, much of the job focuses on preventing them altogether. As you continue gaining experience, emergency training becomes increasingly realistic. Full-scale simulations place operators under intense pressure, presenting equipment failures, electrical disturbances, and unexpected operating conditions. Every scenario tests not only technical knowledge but also communication, teamwork, and decision-making. Surprisingly, the most experienced operators are often the calmest people in the room. They know that successful operations depend on following procedures, not emotions. By now, you've also earned the trust of your coworkers. New employees begin asking you questions that you once asked yourself. You explain inspection routes, operating procedures, and small details that aren't always written in manuals. Without realizing it, you're becoming one of the experienced operators that once guided you through your first days inside the plant. The control room no longer feels intimidating. It feels familiar. The turbine hall no longer seems impossibly large. It feels like another part of your daily routine. What once looked like a maze of pipes and machinery has become a system you understand almost instinctively. And while you still have many years ahead before reaching the highest levels of the profession, you've already discovered something important. Becoming a nuclear power plant operator isn't about mastering one machine. It's about earning the discipline, knowledge, and trust required to safely operate one of the most sophisticated engineering systems ever built. With several years of experience behind you, your role changes dramatically. You're no longer simply following procedures written by someone else. Now you're expected to understand why those procedures exist and how every decision affects the entire plant. Experienced operators don't just monitor equipment. They anticipate problems before they develop. They recognize subtle changes that less experienced workers might never notice. A slightly different pump vibration, a valve taking a little longer to respond, or an unusual trend on a display can be the first sign that something deserves attention. By this stage of your career, you're trusted with more complex operational tasks. Planned reactor startups and shutdowns require incredible coordination. Every action follows an exact sequence, and dozens of departments work together to complete each operation safely. Mechanical teams verify equipment. Electrical specialists confirm power systems. Engineers review technical parameters. Control room operators monitor every change in real time. It's a reminder that operating a nuclear power plant is never a one-person job. It is one of the largest examples of teamwork in modern industry. You also begin participating in larger maintenance outages, events that transform the entire plant. During these scheduled shutdowns, thousands of inspections, upgrades, and repairs are completed within a limited amount of time. Temporary workers arrive from across the country. Specialized contractors bring equipment that may only be used once every several years. Giant cranes lift components weighing dozens of tons while engineers carefully supervise every movement. The normally quiet plant suddenly becomes one of the busiest industrial environments imaginable. One of the most fascinating areas during an outage is the reactor containment building. Seeing the reactor vessel open for maintenance is something very few people outside the nuclear industry will ever experience. Every movement inside this area follows carefully rehearsed procedures. Specialized robotic inspection equipment examines welds and internal components with extraordinary precision. Operators and engineers work side by side, ensuring every inspection is completed exactly according to specification. Accuracy is everything. There is simply no room for shortcuts. As your knowledge grows, you begin understanding that safety in a nuclear power plant is built through layers. Every important system has backups. Critical equipment often has redundant components ready to operate immediately if needed. Electrical power has multiple independent sources. Cooling systems are duplicated. Emergency diesel generators stand ready to start within seconds if external power is ever lost. The entire philosophy of nuclear engineering is based on preparing for situations that may never happen while making sure the plant can safely handle them if they do. Training also becomes more advanced. Emergency simulations become increasingly realistic, challenging your ability to think clearly under pressure. Some scenarios involve equipment failures. Others simulate severe weather, electrical disturbances, or unexpected reactor conditions. Every exercise reinforces the same lesson. Procedures exist for a reason. Operators who remain calm, communicate clearly, and trust their training consistently achieve the best outcomes. Experience teaches you that confidence comes not from taking risks, but from following proven methods every single time. Eventually, you're asked to mentor newer operators. At first, it feels strange remembering that you were once the nervous trainee asking endless questions. Now you're the one explaining inspection routes, demonstrating proper equipment checks, and teaching others how to interpret the countless indicators inside the control room. You realize that much of the profession is passed from one generation to the next through experience. Manuals provide information, but experienced operators provide judgment. Your reputation inside the plant begins to grow. Supervisors recognize your attention to detail. Engineers appreciate your ability to identify developing issues early. Co-workers know they can rely on you during demanding situations. These qualities become far more valuable than simply memorizing procedures. Technical knowledge can be taught. Professional judgment takes years to develop. At the same time, you begin seeing opportunities beyond your own facility. Nuclear operators often participate in exchange programs, specialized training courses, and international conferences where professionals from different countries share operational experience. Although every plant has unique designs, the principles of safety, discipline, and continuous improvement remain remarkably similar around the world. Meeting operators from other facilities reminds you that you're part of an international community responsible for producing reliable electricity while maintaining the highest safety standards. By now, your daily routine looks completely different from your first year. Walking through the turbine hall no longer fills you with amazement. Instead, you automatically notice whether equipment sounds normal. You recognize the rhythm of pumps, the steady flow of steam systems, and the countless details that once seemed invisible. Experience has quietly changed the way you see the plant. Perhaps the biggest lesson you've learned is that this career is built on consistency rather than excitement. The best day inside a nuclear power plant is often the one where nothing unusual happens. Systems operate exactly as designed. Procedures are followed perfectly. Maintenance is completed safely. Operators finish their shifts knowing the plant continues supplying reliable electricity without interruption. That quiet success may never make headlines, but it represents the true achievement of every nuclear operator. While most people outside the facility never think about where their electricity comes from, you know exactly how much discipline, planning, and teamwork are required to keep that power flowing every single hour of every single day. As the years pass, your responsibilities continue to expand. One day, you realize you're no longer the person asking questions during the morning briefing. You're the one answering them. New operators look to you for guidance, engineers ask for your opinion during complex operations, and supervisors trust your judgment when important decisions need to be made. The confidence you have today wasn't built overnight. It came from thousands of hours inside the plant, countless inspections, endless training sessions, and an unwavering commitment to doing every job the right way. Eventually, opportunities appear that once seemed impossible. Some operators move into senior leadership positions, overseeing the operation of an entire nuclear power station. Others specialize in reactor performance, emergency preparedness, or operator training. Many become instructors responsible for preparing the next generation of professionals. In every path, one thing remains the same. Experience becomes your greatest asset. The more situations you've seen, the more valuable your knowledge becomes. One of the most rewarding parts of reaching this level is seeing younger operators develop under your guidance. You remember exactly what it felt like to stand in front of the control panels for the first time, unsure of what every display meant. Now you're the one explaining why every procedure exists, why every checklist matters, and why patience is one of the most important qualities an operator can possess. Technical knowledge can be taught in classrooms, but professional judgment is earned through years of real experience. As your reputation grows, opportunities may extend far beyond your own facility. International conferences, advanced reactor training programs, and technical exchanges allow experienced operators to share knowledge with professionals from around the world. You discover that despite different reactor designs and different countries, the culture of safety is remarkably similar everywhere. Operators speak different languages, but they all understand the same responsibility: protecting people while producing reliable electricity. Many people assume this career is only about reactors, but by now you've learned that it's really about systems, teamwork, and discipline. Every successful day depends on hundreds of people performing their jobs with precision. Engineers, maintenance technicians, electricians, chemists, radiation protection specialists, and control room operators all depend on one another. No single person keeps a nuclear power plant running. It takes an entire team working together with complete trust. At this stage, your work also becomes more strategic. Instead of focusing only on today's operation, you begin thinking about the future. Equipment upgrades, long-term maintenance planning, and performance improvements become part of your routine. Every improvement, no matter how small, contributes to making the plant even safer and more reliable for decades to come. Continuous improvement is one of the defining characteristics of the nuclear industry. Even when everything is working perfectly, operators are always looking for ways to make it better. The financial rewards also become much more significant as your career advances. Entry-level operators begin with solid salaries, but experienced licensed operators, senior reactor operators, and operations managers can earn well into six figures each year, especially at large commercial nuclear power plants. The combination of technical expertise, licensing requirements, and enormous responsibility makes this one of the highest-paying careers in industrial operations. But by this point, you understand that the salary reflects much more than technical skill. It reflects the level of trust placed in every decision you make. Despite the complexity of the job, one lesson remains surprisingly simple. Success isn't measured by dramatic moments. It's measured by consistency. Every safe startup, every successful shutdown, every maintenance outage completed on schedule, every shift where every system performs exactly as expected. Those quiet victories are what define a great operator. The public may never notice them, but they represent thousands of small decisions made correctly every single day. Looking back, it's almost hard to believe how overwhelming everything felt on your first morning. The towering cooling towers, the endless pipes, the control panels filled with unfamiliar instruments, and the strict security procedures all seemed intimidating. Today, they feel familiar. Not because the work has become easy, but because experience has replaced uncertainty with confidence. You now understand not only how the plant operates, but why every system exists and how every person contributes to its success. Nuclear power remains one of the most sophisticated engineering achievements ever created. It provides reliable electricity to millions of people while operating under some of the highest safety standards in the world. Behind every megawatt produced is a team of dedicated professionals who spend years mastering their craft, constantly training, constantly improving, and never allowing complacency to replace discipline. For many people, a nuclear power plant is simply another building on the horizon. They drive past the cooling towers without giving them a second thought. But now you know what happens behind those walls. You know about the teamwork, the technology, the precision, and the responsibility required every hour of every day. You know that every light switched on in a home, hospital, factory, or school depends on professionals who take their work seriously. From a nervous trainee walking through the security gates for the very first time to a trusted operator responsible for one of the most advanced energy systems on Earth, the journey is demanding, challenging, and filled with constant learning. It isn't a career for everyone. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to accept enormous responsibility. But for those who dedicate themselves to mastering it, few professions offer the same combination of technical excellence, long-term stability, meaningful purpose, and the opportunity to help power an entire nation safely, quietly, and every single day.